All right, welcome to another screencast for the 5-pin bowling app. Just released version 2.0 to the App Store. Just created an iPhone version of this video that kind of describes what the new features are, and so we're going to do this now on the iPad since one of the big features in 2.0 is native support for iPad. So I've switched to my iPad. Just going to tap on the icon, and voila. This is a big change. So before, where we used to run what was an application that was targeted specifically for an iPhone, and we'd run that on the iPad, it would do scaling of an iPhone-sized application to the iPad, which worked. And I've seen people using it, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just not optimized for the device. And so in this version of the application, you can see that it's fully optimized for the iPad. So we've got a two-pane view of the application. So on the left-hand side, we get the typical navigation. So there's the main menu, and then over on the right-hand side is the new images of the pins and the deck. So you should see right off the bat that this is going to be a slightly different experience, but it's going to be familiar, but it's going to be optimized for this device. So the first thing that I'm going to do, similar to what I did in the last video, is I'm going to go into Open. So I've got my self-defined, and you can see that this menu again is similar to what you see on the iPhone. But again, here in Open Bowling, I'm treating Open Bowling as very similarly to how I'm treating leagues. So instead of creating individual games one at a time and then having a long, big list of individual games, if I tap on the plus button here, it asks me how many games I'm going to bowl today. So in this case, I'm going to say I'm going to bowl 10 games today, and yet that number can be anywhere between 1 and 50. Now 50 is a large number. I don't expect you to bowl 50. It's an arbitrary ceiling on how many games you can actually create in the application. But I felt that nobody who was likely to go bowling was going to bowl more than 50 games. That seems kind of crazy to me. But hey, if 50 is not enough for you guys, let me know, and I can pump that up. So I'm going to create 10, and that goes away. And so now we can simultaneously see the list of Open Bowling on the left and the actual game itself on the right. So I've highlighted it's already highlighted the game that I just added, or the series that I just added, and it's defaulted to the first game. So up at the top in this view is the pins, as you saw before. Those are all now generated by a 3D program. I've created the 3D models. Added it to the application, and I think it replaces the 2D images that I had created way back in version 1.0 of the application. I think it looks quite a bit better. In the bottom part of the right-hand side of the screen is the games, and so you can see there's no longer a switcher. You don't switch between the number of games that you have. You can just scroll through the list. So I created 10 games, and you can see that this list is now 10 games long. It's highlighted the first frame of the first game, and as I touch the pins, that's the one that it's impacting. If I go to frame 1 of the second game and do some changes here, you can see that's the one that is changing. So I can continue to go through here. I got aces, and I picked up the 2. I got a chop off, but I picked up the spare. I got a strike now, so that's great. You can see how it's changing the games. Over on the left-hand side, you can see the totals get updated in real time as it saves that data out to disk or out onto the device. So we can persist that between uses of the application. So that's pretty cool. Incomplete games, again, are not included in the average. So you can see over on the left where I've got December 15th today, the games that I've bowled, average is still 0 because none of the games are complete yet. If I continue to just kind of go through here, and I'll just put in some values, and you know what, I'm going to be awesome and strike out the 10th frame here. I got a 284. So over on the left now, you can see 284 is the is a completed game, and you can see my average for the series is now 284. So only completed games are included in the average. So that's new, I believe, in this version of the application. This application, like it does on iPhone, supports both landscape mode, which is what I'm showing here, and if I rotate my iPad, which I'm doing, you can see that it now displays things this way. Now, because iPads and iPhones are slightly different, I'm treating how I display things in both portrait and landscape slightly differently. So on the iPad, when I rotate it into portrait mode, the information on the left goes away, but I can, of course, just bring it back the way you would expect on an iPad application by tapping that arrow, that left arrow. All right, so that's all cool. Let's see here, stats, percentages, and actual values. So again, I'm on the first frame of the first game. I just tap that, right? If I hit the stats button, you can see stats now shows up in a pop-up. So rather than taking over the entire screen for this game, it's just showing it over top. So I'm not losing the context of where I was, which game I'm on. And again, you can see the statistics. Sometimes I cannot say that. So I can see percentage values, and if I tap on those percentage values, you can see the actual numbers. So in this case, you can see, like for spares, for instance, on spare conversion, I had 3 opportunities to make spares, and I only made 1 of them. So my average is 33%. So that's cool. Because I'm now on an iPad and I can see the series and or I can see the league if this was a league, or all my open bowling on the left, and I can see the individual series that I'm bowling today. I can also tap on the stats button on the left side, and you can see that is now showing me the stats for all of my open bowling. Right, and if I wanted to, I could now compare my league stats with my game stats, right? So I can see both of those at the same time, which is kind of neat. So we'll just go back on that. Sharing, as I demonstrated in the last video, is similar here, right? But now I'm showing the game actions in a pop-up. I say share the series, which is new because reset frame, what if, and share game are all the same. If I say share series, you can see that this pop-up appears. It shows me the applications that are capable of handling images that I have installed on this device. If I say I want to mail those games to somebody, you can see here I've got a nice big email that shows me all 10 games as I bowled them. So rather than if I'm bowling in a tournament, rather than sending out 10 different emails about how I did for all 10 games, I can now do it all in one step. Right? So here's all 10 games. Go and send it to I don't know, whoever is interested, right? there's always somebody who's sitting at home wondering how's he doing today. Now you can send that all in one go. So that's pretty cool.